Hey, it's Mike the Scrapping Guy here, and we are in my favorite month of the year, the month of October. And the reason it's my favorite month is because it is Halloween time. Halloween time is without a doubt my favorite holiday of the year. And what I'm going to do in this video tutorial is show you how to create some creepy looking word art using a regular good old-fashioned font that you may or may not have. I mean, you can use any font that you like, and we can make it look kind of creepy, kind of creepy crawly, kind of typical Halloween type of font. It's real easy to do in Photoshop Element 7, and that's actually kind of fun to do once you start working with it. So what I have here is I opened up and created a blank canvas that is 300 dots per inch. I have it only at 6 inches by 6 inches, but you can make your blank canvas the size that you need depending on the kind of word art that you're working on. Mine's just going to simply say trick or treat, which is why I didn't need anything too large as far as the width and the height. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my color swatches are black, or at least the front one is black. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to hit my type tool, make sure that's selected. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to choose a normal looking font, something that is fairly simple, but we want it to be kind of thick. We don't want to choose a font that's really skinny or thin or anything like that. We want to choose something that's relatively thick. Here's something called Reservoir Grunge. You may or may not have that one. If not, then just go ahead and pick something that's maybe even an Arial black or something that's fairly thick and easy to work with. So I'm going to go ahead as I'm going to type out my words trick. And actually, it's kind of big, so I'm going to go and I'm going to make that a little bit smaller here. Drag it up. Whoops. Drag the corner. Bring it down to size. There we go there. And I can even create or and treat as two separate things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my type tool, click inside there to reselect that type, put the word or and treat. And we can see that it's left justified. So I'm just going to go ahead, select everything, and come up to my justification drop down menu and hit center. And let me bring it back over to the center of the layout. And there we have trick or treat, all in black. Kind of simple, kind of, nothing too spooky or scary about that. But here's where it kind of gets fun. I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure my layer for that font is selected. What I need to do is I need to simplify it so that it looks more like a regular graphic layer instead of a type layer. So I'm going to right click on there, hit simplify layer. And now you can see that it has the checkered backgrounds, so it has a invisible background, but we have a layer underneath as white. That's why you see the white there. So now what I'm going to do, and this is the fun part, I'm going to go up to filter, go down to distort, and click on liquify. Now that brings up a separate liquify page, or actually menu or workspace. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to kind of make it so you can see what we're working on here. And over here are the different tools you can use for liquify. One's a normal warp tool. We also have turbulence and swirls and all these different types of tools that we can work with. But what I want to do right now is I'm just going to kind of zoom in because I like working on stuff nice and close so it's easy to see. I can do that with my magnifying glass tool. And then to move things, I'll use a little move, looks like a little hand, just kind of slide it over. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the T. So I'm going to come up to my warp tool. And as you can see, the circle is the size of the brush. And you can come over here and you can adjust the brush size by sliding the little slider and changing the number there. Or what you can also do is using the keyboard, use the left and right brackets to adjust the size. As you can see, if I hold the left bracket down, and that's right above the enter key on your keyboard. If I use the left bracket, it makes it smaller. The right bracket makes it bigger. So I'm just going to kind of pick a fairly large size. Now what I'm going to do is go in within that font, or within that letter T, I'm just going to hit my left mouse button and I'm going to drag down from there. And you can see it kind of makes it like it's kind of warping down, almost like wax or something gooey. I can do that at the top here also. And I can adjust the brush size if I want to get a little bit smaller going down as it works its way down. You can move these things around if you want to make little changes to it. There we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the R. Kind of bring it down, make it kind of like it's kind of like melting right underneath the letters. It's kind of cool. And that's just using the warp tool. We can also do some swirls if you want to kind of move things around there. You can see it kind of swirling around, make something different. Warp tool is the one that I like to use the best because that just kind of brings it all home here. Now I'm going to go and click on the hand. I'm going to drag it across so I can work on some of the other letters. Let's make this one big for the I. Kind of bring it way down here. The more you grab in the letter, the more that's actually going to drag down. You bring this one across and down a little bit there. Bring it back up. And that's really cool thing about this too is, like I said, you can even, if you brought it down too far, you can just use the warp tool and bring it back up again. And bring it a little bit down here. Oh, I don't want to that's too much there. Bring us a little bit there. Same thing with the C. We're going to do this with all the letters. Make it bigger here. Kind of bring it down. And one of the other things, like you actually might have a font that's kind of like this, kind of a creepy looking font. But when you do it on your own, it personalizes it a little bit more. Plus, if you have multiple letters, say you have like 2-letter R's or 2-letter J's or something like that, duplicate letters, they're going to look the same. I mean, they're going to look exactly the same as far as how they warp down and how they're kind of melting. Or if you do them individually on your own, then it gives a little more personal touch, and each letter is going to have their own unique character with it. So what I'm going to do is, real quickly, since I have these other ones to do, I'm just going to go ahead and pause it, do the rest of these letters, and I will be right back so you don't have to see me doing that. You kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. So I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, I'm back, and you can see I finished up the rest of the letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and hit OK, and it's going to go and render that and transfer that back over to my layout. You'll see as soon as it's done here. Boom, there we go. So now we just turned our normal fonts, our normal type, into a kind of a creepy, melting kind of a picture there. We can go ahead and we can just leave it like that if your layout just needs something simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit further. I'm going to go and I'm going to hold down the Control key, and I'm going to click on the thumbnail of the Trick or Treat layout or layer, and you can see it kind of puts little marching ants going around there. And what I need to do now is actually I'm going to click on that layer, and I'm going to click a new layer so it's on top of that. So we now have a blank layer on top of the Trick or Treat layer, and you can see that we still have the Trick or Treat selected using the little marching ants that you see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I want to make this is actually going to be the background for the black is going to be the background for the actual color of the word art. So what I'm going to do is I need to make that a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go up to Select, come down to Modify, and hit Contract. And this is one thing that you might want to do a little bit of experimenting with, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use 20 just to see how much it contracts. Might be a little too much, might be a little too little. Let me go and zoom in on a little bit here so I can kind of look at it a little closer. And actually looking at that, it doesn't look too bad. So you can see is how the marching ants that used to be going around the entire edge of the letters now contracted in by 15 pixels. So now we have the inside of the letter selected. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on and find kind of an orange color that I want to use for the inside, since it's kind of the Halloween season. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to Edit, Fill Selection, and make sure foreground color is selected because that is the orange that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit OK. So there we have the orange inside the black, where the black kind of looks like a creepy shadow that's melting there. So I'm going to hit Control D, take a look at that, and once again we can leave it simply at that, but I'm going to go another step further. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of shading to the type to give it a little bit of different look to it. And to do that, I'm going to go over, and you can work with either one, the dodge tool or the burn tool. One actually is going to make the area lighter, one's going to make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the which one was it? The dodge tool first. And I'm going to come up, make sure that selection of the orange is selected, not the black. And I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of click on, actually make this brush a little bit smaller, just kind of click on the right side of each letter, kind of make it look like the light is coming from the right hand side. So there we go there. Just kind of coming down there. Let's see, on this side of the R, and there's the T. I'm just doing it kind of quickly here. Obviously, if you can take your time and do a little bit better job. So there we have it. And then what we can do is, even on if we choose the burn tool, we can maybe, let me get that brush down a little bit, do the other side, and it'll actually darken that side of it. So we kind of have dark light on one side, dark on the other side. And once again, I'm doing it kind of quickly. And what you can do, if you look up at the top, you can also check your different settings for that burn tool. Like right now, the size here, but you can paint just the midtones, the shadows, the highlights, and how much exposure. Obviously, the more exposure you use, the more effect it's going to give you. But I just have it set at 50%, so it's just a little bit of exposure. That was a little too much on that one. Just kind of hit the end there. Okay, and let's see, one more thing that I want to do. So I'm going to come over here. I kind of already have it selected, but if it isn't, if you happen to have your effects on this window, just go ahead, click on the Layer Styles button, come over here and make sure Bevels is selected. I'm just going to go and click on the Simple Inner Bevel, and that looks kind of cool too. Looks like it's kind of a 3D look, but I just want to drop the 3D down a little bit. So I'm going to go and I'm going to double click the little FX, come up here for the size under Bevel, make it a little bit smaller, so it just gives a little bit of a 3D look to it, not too much. You can also mess with the up and down. I kind of like the up because it looks like the font is popping out at us. Get ahead and hit OK there. And once again, we can kind of leave it at that. All we would need to do is get rid of the background layer. But I'm going to try and do one more thing just to see how it will look. Let me go up with that layer still selected. I'm going to go up to Filter. And let's go to Texture. Go to Texturizer. And we go ahead and make this small so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And this is where we can add any kind of texture or some kind of effect to the font or to our word art. We can even change the stylize and things. But let's go ahead and hit texture, and let's see what burlap, maybe a little bit of burlap. And let's go ahead, and you can also adjust the lighting on this also, depending on what you want to do. It's all up to you. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that and see how that looks. Let me zoom in on it here. That actually looks kind of cool. So there's a real simple way. In fact, before I end it, let me go ahead and delete this background out of here. And what we would want to do also is to make sure one of the layers is selected. Hold the Shift key down, choose the other layer. Go ahead, right click, hit Merge Layers. And now we actually have this set up as one layer for our word art. And we can make any kind of adjustments or anything that we need to do there. But anyway, that's one real quick and easy way to create your own custom creepy looking word art using a typical normal font that you would have, and using the liquify filter to go ahead and make the kind of little creepy melting type. So there you have it. Just go ahead and save it as a PNG file, and you can easily import that into all of your digital scrapbooking layouts.